Hello everybody, it's Mel. Thank you for joining me today for my June TBR game. My TBR game is Roll of Reads and I play it pretty much every single month in order to determine what books I'm going to read throughout the month. In order to understand all of the prompts and the board, how the gameplay works, punishments, rewards, everything that you will need to know to follow along. If you don't want to just watch me play, please go and watch my January TBR game because I go through all of those rules and gameplay and everything in that. I will also put my May TBR down below because I did change things a little bit for the month of May. Mostly because I was feeling myself being quite slumpy in terms of reading. I still feel like I'm quite slumpy. So I did change the way that I was doing things for May, and I did say that depending on how I was feeling in June, I may, or at the end of May, I may end up continuing with that. Still feeling a little bit slumpy, like I said, so I am going to play the game the way that I did in May. So I have put my May TBR game down below as well so that you can subscribe, so that you can check that out. Please subscribe also so that you can check that out and see what the changes are. But essentially I have a board with 20 spaces on it. I place cards out on each of those spaces. I roll a 20-sided dice. I then pick up the card that is on the number that I rolled, and then I have to do the prompt that is on that card. For this month, and for last month, what I did was I said that I was going to roll 10 times, pick out 10 books. So I'll have a pool to choose books from. I need to read 3 books from that pool in order to get a reward for the month of June. If I don't read 3 books from that pool, then I will have to pick a punishment. So I did actually read 3 books out of those 10 from the pool for May, which I'm very excited about because that means that I get to choose a reward card and I get to choose that reward for the month of June. I have not managed to get a reward at all this year until now, so I'm very excited that I've managed to tweak my gameplay a little bit to enable me to do a reward. So what I'll do now is I'll go through all of the books. I won't go through all the books I had in the pool. I'll go through the 3 books that I read and then I will play the game. So, to begin with, I chose 3, like I said, 3 books that corresponded to 3 of the prompts that I picked up in the month of May, which, like I said, means I get to have a reward. Yay! So, those 3 books were The Enchanted Greenhouse by Sarah Beth Durst. This book was the poll pick, the winner of the poll pick. So one of my prompts was poll pick. I put a poll on Instagram. Actually, only one person voted. So, I mean, can you say that's a winner? But anyway, this was the one they chose. So this is the book that I did actually read. Then I read Anne of Green Gables by Ellen Montgomery. When I say I read, I haven't actually finished it yet. I'm about a third of the way through. It's relatively quick and easy to read. It's not super long and it's a reread for me. It's a favourite book of mine. So I will definitely finish it by the end of the month. It is what is it today? The 22nd of May. So I've got 9 days left. So I'll definitely finish this in 9 days. And so therefore I'm counting it. This was for Features a Journey. And then for physical or mental health rep, I chose The Tea Dragon Society by Kay O'Neill. This giant version of, it's huge. If I had realised I was ordering this huge book, I might have considered looking for a different one. Sorry, that's the vacuum cleaner. Bear with while I turn it off. Sorry. We have a robot vacuum cleaner which is which is set to come on at certain times throughout the week, which it was doing just then. We're very fortunate. I love my robot vacuum cleaner, but I didn't want it to run just now. So anyway, yeah, so I might have looked for a smaller version, but anyway, that's not important. I actually have not finished this book, despite the fact that it's not a super long graphic novel. I started it, but I had only just started it when the baby woke up, or the toddler, I should say. So I will definitely be finishing this, I would think, over the next couple of days. So yeah, I'm counting that as read as well. Which means I get to choose a reward, like I keep saying, and you'll see me do that in a moment. But in terms of books that I need to read, I actually have 3 that I need to try and fit on the TBR somehow and need to read in the month of June. Those three are The Burning God by R.F. Kuang. This is the third and final book in the Poppy War trilogy, which I am reading as part of the Poppy War read-along, which is being run out of my Discord, and I will link that. It's always linked below, so you can join us. I run that read-along. I'm also running the Jane Austen and Friends read-along out of that Discord. I'm also running my own book club, lots of things going on there, so please consider joining us and just general chatting about books. If you don't want to join any of those but you want to talk about books and meet some great people, then join the Discord for that as well. But anyway, yes, so the Poppy War read along, I actually need to finish the Dragon Republic, but like I said, I have 9 days left. I have switched over to audio because I was struggling to sit and read the book. Enjoying it, I think it's great, but yeah, anyway. Hopefully I'll get it read. I should be able to, but fingers crossed. So I need to read The Burning God, which is the final book in that trilogy. My co-hosts for that read-along are Steph from Coffee Over Apples and Bethany from Beautifully Bookish Bethany, so please go and subscribe. Anyone that I talk about is listed down below, so you can go and subscribe to them. Then for my book club, which is the Book Fiends Book Club, that is actually a quarterly book club, so we read a book once a quarter and then we chat about it on a live show on my channel, which is usually at the end of the third month, so that will be sometime at the end of June, beginning of July, which I haven't figured out yet, but we'll figure that out. The book that we are reading is The Isle in the Silver Sea by Tasha Suri, and we've chosen that one. It was a poll of 4 books and everyone voted and we chose that one in the end. The theme for this quarter was or is LGBTQIA+ rep. So I need to read that one. And then I also need to read Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen, which is the book that we are reading in May-June for the Jane Austen and Friends read-along, which is a classics read-along that is being run by myself, Margaret from The Word Nerd, Brooklyn from Brooklyn Reads, Neva from Neva's Cozy Corner, and Christina. So subscribe to all of those people as well. But yes, those are the books I need to read. Those are the books I have read. I'm also going to be participating in the Amazing Readathon, which is a month-long readathon that is run by Brianna from Four Paws and a Book. It is really, really fun. It's based on the Amazing Race. Brie puts so much work into it. It's amazing how much work she puts into the readathon every single year, and it's just a great time. I really enjoyed I think I've participated 3 times. 4 times, but technically last year, I technically was participating, but I didn't really. But the other 3 times I did participate as a member of a team where I was competing to get points for my team. Last year and this year last year I did, and this year I will be participating in the team that is not getting points. So it's a team where we just essentially use the prompts to figure out books to read and we just join in to have fun. I really enjoy the readathon. Like I said, I think it's amazing, and I was really happy when I saw that because having a child who is quite young, toddler as I mentioned, is actually relatively difficult to really sit down and read. So I am going to be joining the team. That doesn't mean I have to try and get points, but it does mean that it's having fun. So Brianna is linked down below. Please go and join. Please subscribe to her channel. She's amazing. Please join the readathon. It's so much fun. There's competitive teams and yeah, like I said, it's just a lot of fun. So go and check that out. But yeah, that's everything that I needed to walk you through before I go ahead and actually play the game. So let's do that now, and then I'll come back and let you know what I chose for what prompts and etc. So here is just an hour or so ago Mel playing the game. Okay, let's start by putting our permanent prompts out. And shuffle our punishments. Our rewards. And our regular prompts. So, I am actually picking a reward. today, which is very exciting. So let's do that now. Treat my shelf. Ooh, very nice. Okay, roll number 1 is a 9. Retelling / mythology inspired. Yeah, interesting. Oh. Place the prompt. Roll number 2. Is it 2? Random letter generator. All right. Replace that prompt. Roll number 3. No, yes. It's an 18. Soft DNF. All right. Roll number 4 is a 6. First Nations Australian author. Roll number 5 is a 10, which is for a project. All right. We'll put that there and we will pop a little marker to show that we've done that roll, and that was a 10. Roll number 6. And 10 again, which means we have to take a punishment. But first, we need another for a project. I'm going to put a D4 in that space so we know we've done that. Then we're going to pick a punishment. Add any book. Roll number 7 is a 19. Readathon prompt. Okay, replace that prompt. Roll number 8 is a 7. A potential comfort read, and that was a suggestion even from Paige. Thank you very much, Paige. Okay, roll number 9 is a 10 again, but it's reset, so we only get the 10 again, but we will put our is this a D8? Yes, a D8 down to indicate we rolled one of the permanent prompts. We don't have to do a punishment because we did a punishment for the previous 10, so it's kind of reset. And that is another for a project, which is this one here. And then finally, roll number 10 is a 3. And that is a classic. So that works out very well. Let's go back to other Mel. So, as you saw, my reward, I'm very, very excited. It is Treat My Shelf. Now, I am technically on a book buying ban. My friend Michelle and I agreed to go on a book buying ban together. So I am only allowed to buy books that I have pre-ordered. I pre-ordered 1 book and I've picked it up already. So technically I could count that as my Treat Your Shelf, but it would be kind of nice to not do that and actually buy a book. I will check with Michelle and see what she thinks. If she thinks I should count the pre-order, I will do that because it was her idea and I agreed to go along with it. But if not, then I will go and buy a book. Yay! We love buying books. All right, and then the first prompt that I got was a retelling / mythology inspired. So the book that I have decided to pick for this one is Daughter of the Forest by Juliet Marillier. People who have been watching my videos will know that this was on last month's TBR, and no, I didn't get to it, despite having said multiple times at this point that I need to read this book because I have to return it to my friend Bibiana. I still haven't actually read it, and I'm seeing her tomorrow, and I'm going to have to say I still have the book and I still haven't read it. I don't know how many years it's been. This is really bad. I should read books I borrow immediately, but anyway, here we are. So as far as I know, this is a historical fantasy retelling of the 7 Little Swans, I think. It's an Irish myth. It is about a woman I'm not sure. youngest child and only daughter, Saoirse. I don't know how old she is, but it is about Saoirse, who escapes the cruel influence of Lady Una, her father's new wife. Exiled from seven waters and cast out into the forest and the terrifying world beyond, Saoirse falls into the hands of the feared enemy. Now she is torn between a life she has always known and a love that only comes at once. So I have heard great things about this book from a number of different people, and I'm excited to dive in and read the book. So that is my book that I have chosen for my retelling / mythology inspired. The next prompt that I got was random letter generator. So I'm going to do that right now. I will screen record, but I'm going to find a random letter generator online. All right, so we have a letter picker wheel. I'm going to spin this spinner. Whatever letter comes up, that will be in either the title, so it'll be the first letter of one of the words in the title, or it will be the first letter in one of the names of the author. I'm just making it really easy for myself because, you know, if I get a Z or an X or something like that, it's going to be pretty tricky. So here we go. Okay, the letter is J. I could have chosen Juliet Marilia, but never mind. Okay, so the letter is J. So I'll move my chair out of the way and choose the book, and you will see me doing that. Okay, a J. Oh, okay. We've got Gods of Jade and Shadow, which I saw immediately as an option. Jade, having a J. I've put this on a number of TBRs as well, so we'll see how we go with that one. What other options do we have? We have House of Flame and Shadow by Sarah J. Maas as an option. The Anthropocene Reviewed by John Green, or The Other Bennett Sister by Janice Hadlow. Okay, so we do have a few options here, as we just discussed. We have two quite giant ones, which honestly I'm probably not going to get to in the month of June. So let's put those aside. And then I have The Gods of Jade and Shadow or The Anthropocene Reviewed by John Green. I'm going to pick The Anthropocene Reviewed again by John Green because it's just speaking to me, and I don't know why, but yeah, it's just speaking to me. So we're going to go with that one. Next prompt. I got Soft DNF. So a book that in the past I have read or read some of and then put down for a reason that wasn't because I didn't want to read it. Might have been because I was going to participate in a readathon and it wasn't going to fit in, or I wanted to read something else at the time, wasn't in the mood at the time, something else came up basically. And the book that I've chosen for this one is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. I've had this for quite a while now. It was sent to me by someone, and I'm very naughty. I have not kept the gift note. I believe it was Tracy. If that is correct, Tracy, thank you very much. If it was someone else, I apologize, but thank you. So this one is I think it's a like a sort of, I'm looking for cozy fantasy. We follow a curmudgeonly professor called Emily Wilde, and she is working on a dissertation or some kind of, she's writing the world's first encyclopedia of fairy lore. So in this fantasy world, fairies exist, and they are kind of like, I guess kind of like animals in a way, and she's writing an encyclopedia about fairies. She travels to somewhere in the far north, and she is going to live in a little cottage out in the wild so that she can focus on studying. But then her arch nemesis in the academic world that she exists in, Wendell Bamblebee, turns up, and she then shenanigans ensue, essentially. I was really enjoying it. I actually don't remember where I got up to, but I was enjoying it. I think I got maybe like a third of the way through, and I can't remember why I put it down because it was a few years ago now, but I think it was possibly even, it was because something to do with the Amazing Readathon, and maybe it was the end of May and I wanted to stop so I could read something for the Amazing Readathon. I'm not 100% sure actually, but anyway, let's try and read it for this year's Amazing Readathon. So that is my book for soft DNF. The next prompt that I got was First Nations author, and I don't actually have, and this is probably not great because I should own more books by First Nations authors, which I don't. However, I did look on my library app, and a book that I've been interested in for a while now is available, so I'm going to pick that one, which is something Tell a Crow. Let me just double check what it's called. Catching Tell a Crow by Amberlynn Quamelina and Ezekiel Quamelina. So Amberlynn Quamelina is an author that I have read from before. This is a book that she co-wrote with, I think, her brother. I really enjoy Amberlynn Quamelina's writing style. She writes fantasy, science fiction. This one, just seeing what Goodreads has to say. Goodreads says, nothing's been the same for Beth Teller since she died. Her dad, a detective, is the only one who can see and hear her, and he's drowning in grief. But now they have a mystery to solve together. Who is Isabel Catching, and what's her connection to the fire that killed a man? What happened to the people who haven't been seen since the fire? As Beth unravels the mystery, she finds a shocking story lurking beneath the surface of a small town, and a friendship that lasts beyond one life and into another. Told in two unforgettable voices, this gripping novel weaves together themes of grief, colonial history, violence, love, and family. So it sounds really interesting. I really, like I said, enjoy Amberlynn Quamelina's writing style, so I'm excited to give that one a try. The next prompt that I got one of my permanent prompts, which is number 10 for a project. So the book that I've chosen for a project is Fugitive Telemetry. This is the third book in the Murderbot series. I started reading the Murderbot series last year. Really enjoyed the first two books that I read and haven't continued, although I've wanted to. So one of my goals for my bingo board from hell this year is to continue with some series. So I'm going to continue with the Murderbot series and I'm going to read Fugitive Telemetry, which is the third book. I won't tell you about the third book, but I will just let you know that this series is about an AI who calls themselves Murderbot. They're a security unit and they're supposed to be an AI that just follows orders. Security unit look after people, but they have hacked their governor module, which is the kind of module that keeps them in line and keeps them being the security unit. So they are fully, what's the word I'm looking for? Fully intelligent, fully in control of themselves, etc. And all they want to do is watch TV, but in order to not get found out, they have to pretend to continue being a security unit following orders. That's the kind of plot of the first book, and then other things occur. So I'm looking forward to reading this third one. Like I said, I did really enjoy the first two. I've heard great things about the entire series, and I'm excited to read Fugitive Telemetry. And then what happened then? Immediately after rolling a 10, I rolled another 10 and I had to pick up a punishment. The punishment that I picked up was add any book. So I figured that it made sense to just add System Collapse, which is the fourth book in the Murderbot series. So that is my punishment book, to add any books. I still had to do the prompt that was on 10, which is a permanent prompt, so the prompt remains for a project. So the book that I chose for a project this second time was The Voyage Home by Pat Barker. Another bingo on my bingo board is Finish series, and this is the third, I think this is the final book in the trilogy of this trilogy, which I don't actually know what it's called, but this is a Trojan War retelling by Pat Barker. So this is about, we follow two women, we follow we follow, let me just double check. Sorry, incorrect. We follow Cassandra and Clytemnestra. So Clytemnestra was Agamemnon's wife, Greek wife that he left at home during the Trojan War. And then Cassandra is a Trojan woman who was kidnapped as a spoil of war by Agamemnon and brought home to be his war wife. And that is about those two women, and yeah, it's finishing this series, which are about the women of Troy, or the women affected by the sacking of Troy, by the war of Troy, and all the story that's in the Iliad, basically. It's their sort of perspective. I really enjoyed the first two. I think Pat Barker's writing style is fantastic, and I think she did a great job of doing a feminist retelling, so I'm very excited to finish this book out, finish the series out with this book, I should say, and like I said, I did really enjoy the other two, so I hope, really enjoy this one. The next prompt that I got was readathon prompt. So I had a look at the readathon prompts for the Amazing Readathon, and one of the prompts that came up was a building on the cover, and I ended up picking up the Book of Heartbreak by Ove Seren because, as you can see, there is a little lighthouse on the cover. It's quite a small building in the cover, but it is nonetheless a building. So I'm going to pick this one up because it works for that prompt. There are other prompts that I can use as well, but this is the one I've chosen for this particular prompt for my game, if that makes sense. So this is I think it's like a historical fantasy. So it's about Sarah Silverbirch, whose heart can only break 5 times before it stops beating forever. She has had 4 fractures already, so 1 more will be the end. To survive, Sarah has kept the world at arm's length until the sudden death of her mother shatters the fragile rules she has always lived by. Now she has questions she can no longer ignore. Where did this curse come from? Why her? And might there be a way to unravel it? Her search for answers carries her to the ancient streets of Istanbul, where she meets Leon, a mysterious seer who helps her trace the tangled threads of her past. But the closer they grow, so too does the danger to Sarah's heart. Because Sarah's fate isn't just hers to claim, an unearthly realm of celestials are watching, and they won't stand by as a mortal unravels the destiny they wrote in the stars. I think it sounds amazing. I love this cover. I think it's absolutely stunning, and I'm really, really excited to give this one a try. The next prompt that I got was a potential comfort read, and this prompt was suggested to me by my good friend Paige from Pages with Paige. Thank you very much, Paige. I really enjoyed this as a prompt. The book I've decided to go for might seem a little weird because I'm not sure how comforting it of itself is, but anyway, it is The Everlasting by Alex E. Harrow. The reason I've chosen this as a potential comfort read is because I love Alex E. Harrow's writing style. I actually did start this recently, but I put it down because of other things, as I have said a few times now, but I'm really, really excited to pick it up. I was really enjoying what I read of it, and yeah, I'm hoping that I'll love the book. Like I said, love Alex E. Harrow's writing style, so I'm very excited to give this one another try or continue with it. This is about Sir Una Everlasting, who was Dominion's greatest hero, the orphan girl who became a knight and who died for queen and country. Her legend lives on, but her life her legend lives on, but her life, as it truly happened, has been forgotten. Centuries later, Owen Mallory, a failed soldier, struggling scholar, falls in love with the tale of Una Everlasting. His fascination with her takes him to war, to the archives, and even into the past. Una and Owen become tangled together in time, bound to retell the same story over and over again, no matter what it costs. But that story always ends the same way. If they want to rewrite Una's legend and finally tell a different tale, they'll have to confront its author and change history itself. I think this sounds absolutely amazing. Like I said, I really enjoyed what I read of it. I've heard nothing but fantastic things. I love Alex E. Harrow as an author, as I said as well, so I'm looking forward to giving this one a go as well. Then I rolled a 10 again, which means I got the prompt for a project. I do have a TBR jar stand in, and I was a little confused for a second there, but it's not actually that prompt. It is the prompt for a project. So I'm going to put on the book that I picked for this exact same prompt last month, and that is The House Next Door by Darcy Coates. One of my other bingo boards is to read some horror books throughout this year, and I haven't read any yet, and that book I happen to have on Everand saved, so I thought that now is as good time as any. I don't really know much about this other than I think it's a haunted house horror. I have read from Darcy Coates before, just the one book, but I've read from her before. I did enjoy her writing, so I'm interested to see what I think of this one. Horror is not my main genre, as you know, but you know, I'd like to give it a try, which is why it is a goal. So for a project, my project being the bingo board from hell. And then the final book that I have on my TBR is classic, which is perfect because it means that I can fit in one of the books that I need to read in the month, which is Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. This is a favourite book of mine. I love Jane Austen's writing style and I love Sense and Sensibility. It's one of my favourite books of all time. It's one of my favourite Jane Austen books, and yeah, I'm really excited to reread this one. I may potentially listen to it. We'll see how we go. It is a book about two sisters, Eleanor and Marianne, and it's kind of basically about their journey going from being reasonably well-off women, young women, to not well-off at all, finding love, having to move, re-establish themselves, their sisterly relationship and relationships with people in general. And yeah, I absolutely love Jane Austen. As I said, love Sense and Sensibility, so I'm very excited to give this one a reread. But yeah, that's my TBR for the month of June. That's a huge list, but I'm very excited about this one. I only have to read 3 books in order to get a reward, so fingers crossed I can pull that off. I would also like to read a few more because I am going to be participating in the Amazing Readathon, but as I said, I'm joining the spoilers team, which is a non-competitive team. So it's being run, I forgot to mention before, the team leader for spoilers is Brittany from Brittany Loves Reading. As I said, anyone I mentioned was listed down below. Please go and subscribe to all of those people, including Brittany and Bree. And yeah, I am excited to participate in the readathon. I don't remember where I was going with that. But anyway, that is my TBR. Those are all my potential reads, and quite a few of them do fit into the readathon prompts. So hopefully I'll read a few more than 3, but I only have to read, that's what I was saying, I only have to read 3 books in order to get a reward for next month, for July. But now, let us look at my TBR and do a quick recap of it, and then I will let you go. So for retelling or mythology inspired, I picked Daughter of the Forest by Juliet Marillier. Random letter generator, I got Jay, and I picked The Anthropocene Reviewed by John Green. Then I got Soft DNF, and I picked Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. Then I did get the prompt. The book isn't here because I don't own it. I'll be borrowing it from the library hopefully, but the prompt was an Indigenous Australian author. So for that I've picked the Catching Teller Crow by Amber Lynn and Ezekiel Quay Molina. Then I got, the prompt was for a project, and I chose the next book in the Murderbot Diaries, which I think is called A Fugitive Telemetry. And then I got a punishment for having rolled a 10 immediately afterwards. So the punishment is the next one. So there's 2 in this volume. There's 2 of the novellas in this volume. But the actual prompt was again for a project. So I picked The Voyage Home by Pat Barker. Then I got Readathon prompt, and for that I chose Amazing Readathon prompt, as you would imagine. The prompt itself was a building on the cover. For this one, it is The Book of Heartbreak by Ova Seren. Then I picked up the prompt of a potential comfort read, which I chose The Everlasting by Alex E. Harrow. And then finally and then I got another project book, and I chose The House Next Door by Darcy Coates. And then the final prompt was classic, and the book for that I chose is Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. So here is my TBR. So that is everything that I needed to talk with you about today. So let me know in the comments below if you're joining the Amazing Readathon, what team you'll be joining. Please come and join Brittany and all of us in Team Spoilers, but let me know what you're doing for that if you're joining. Let me know if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them, or any books that you're excited to be reading for the month of June. If you would like to leave me a comment but you don't know what, then leave me something science fiction-y as an emoji, because the theme for the Amazing Readathon this year is Doctor Who, which I didn't mention previously, but the theme is Doctor Who. So leave something that is sort of science fiction-y, or if there are, I haven't checked, but if there are any specific Doctor Who emojis, leave that down below. But yeah, that's everything from me today. Thank you so much for joining me. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I would absolutely love it if you would subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. And yeah, like I said, thank you so much for joining me today. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.